the Minister for Employment, Productivity, Industrial Relations, Youth and Sports, the Honorable Parveen Bala. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Leader of Opposition, Honorable Ministers, and Honorable Members of Parliament. I join my fellow colleagues and Opposition Member, Honorable Bulitabu, in support of the 2021-2022 National Budget as delivered by the Honorable Minister for Economy. Mr. Speaker, from the very beginning of this current COVID-19 pandemic, our visionary leader, the Honorable Prime Minister, has committed to putting the well-being of all Fijians first and foremost. This has been done on the basis of the best available scientific advice. Every method tried and tested globally and with local adaptation have been made to counter the terrible impact of this virus. This budget is another solid indicator that at the heart of the Honorable Prime Minister's leadership is the commitment that we all should stand united as one people, just as this government has done in standing by all Fijians during this crisis. Mr. Speaker, the 2021-2022 budget is an inventive and innovative budget that provides focused pathways out of this crisis. We welcome the vision shown by the Honorable Minister for Economy and his team for coming up with a proactive and people-focused budget during these difficult times. It is to the credit of the Honorable Attorney General, who has once again delivered for the betterment of the Fijian people. He has done so as he has done many times before in providing budgets and policies that has generally changed the lives of all Fijians and made positive changes to government and how we conduct ourselves. His critics can keep on spreading false news and fake stories, but the Honorable Attorney General keeps on delivering for all Fijians, and we would like to thank him for his work. Mr. Speaker, this is a forward-looking budget with a key aim on vaccination, income support for unemployed, business revival, economic diversification, and micro-physical stability. It focuses in lives and livelihoods for all Fijians. It provides pathways to better prepare us for the new normal under the COVID-19 now and for the future. Mr. Speaker, at the core of government's commitment towards economic recovery is the stated aim of achieving herd immunity through the vaccination of 80% of our target population over 18 years of age. This will have a huge impact on our economic recovery efforts. This is our key aim, and we must strive to achieve this without any doubt or fear. I urge every eligible Fijian to get vaccinated. This is the only way you can save your families and the economy. This is not the time to play flip-flop politics on vaccination. All medical and health advice points to the health and remedial benefits of vaccination. Mr. Speaker, at this point, I wish to speak on the budget implication on the Ministry of Employment, Productivity and Industrial Relations. The Health and Safety at Work Act 1996 and recent amendment to the Health and Safety at Work General Workplace Conditions Amendment, Regulation 2021, protects the health and safety of all, be they employers, workers or non-workers in the form of wider community, in and around workplaces from any risk that arises at the workplace. Mr. Speaker said, my ministry through the National Occupational Health and Safety Services has commenced its awareness campaign on the new amendment to employers, workers, workplaces, OHS committees, and OHS representatives through virtual workplace face-to-face awareness and audits. Mr. Speaker said, the recent comments by the National Secretary of the Fiji Trade Union Congress that no consultation on this amendment was done by the tripartite board is a total lie. The National OHS Advisory Board, including FTUC's 5 members, were consulted on 6 July 2021 on the proposal to have this workplace vaccination mandatory. In fact, Mr. Speaker said, the 5 FTUC members voted against the proposed changes that will help save lives and livelihoods for Fijian workers. The rest of the board members voted for the proposed amendment. Mr. Speaker said, let me remind the union leaders, if they are serious about the life of their members and their families, then they should be encouraging their members to be vaccinated. They should take this cue from the global labor and union movements who have all come out in support of universal vaccination to ensure safety and economic well-being of their workers. Mr. Speaker said, I wish to repeat what our Honorable Prime Minister said in relation to the need for vaccination on the no jab, no job policy in place. And I wish to reiterate that this also applies to all Fijians wishing to be part of our labor mobility program, no jab, no employment opportunity, in programs like Pacific Mobility Scheme for those who remain unvaccinated. All Fijians should be aware that our neighbors in Australia and New Zealand are facing a crisis of sourcing labor for areas such as seasonal farm work and in the meat industry that Fiji can easily fill. And we, no doubt, will play a leading role in years to come. Mr. Speaker said, my message to the workers that have been registered under this program, please take out your time and get vaccinated. No ifs and buts. Get a jab, get a job will be the premise for potential opportunities under these schemes. Mr. Speaker said, Fiji's labor mobility program already played a very important role in our economic recovery effort through remittance from our Fijian workers. With personal remittance standing at 652.7 million in 2020 and expected to grow by 8.7% to 709.3 million this year, this growth is expected to further increase by 3% in 2022 as reported in the supplementary notes to the 2021-2022 budget address. Mr. Speaker said, this people-centered budget is designed to cushion the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and to ensure that all Fijians and their families are given relief in equal measures during these testing times. The Stronger Together Job Support Scheme that will assist employers in the payment of the 268 as wage subsidy is indeed an important assistance for job creation during this difficult time. This is the courage and vision of a strong government and a leader that believes in the interests of its people. Mr. Speaker said, the commitment by the Fiji First government is showcased by the 200 million loan available for businesses as a startup capital, and 200 million unemployment income supports Fijians whose employment have been affected by COVID-19. Mr. Speaker said, the increase in FNPF contribution by the employers and workers indicates the long-term vision of this government to secure workers' fund for sustainability and to ensure security is provided. Mr. Speaker said, I will now speak on the 2021-2022 national budget in relation to its enabling provision that will help us to provide better service under the Ministry of Youth and Sports portfolios. Mr. Speaker said, young Fijians in the youth group of 15 to 35 years of age will greatly benefit from the integrated approach to innovation and self-help embedded in the budget, in its general provisions. Issues affecting our Fijians youth is cross-cutting, and therefore, in this budget is addressed across multiple ministries and programs. Turning to budget allocation for our youth, Mr. Speaker said, it will provide the platform to further strengthen our community-based program. This will provide youths with opportunities to develop employment pathways, provide opportunities for job creation and innovation and imparting life skills. Mr. Speaker said, as we speak, our elite Fijian sports people are flying our flag proudly at the Tokyo Olympics. And I would like to congratulate our sevens team for their first win this morning. Mr. Speaker said the ministry will continue to provide capacity building and empowerment-based training program across the youth and sports arenas in Fiji. We will be enabled under the budget allocation to work smarter and harder to ensure that the funds are used in sustainable ways. Mr. Speaker said the budget allocation will enable us to further work on programs such as the first ever National Youth Climate Action Summit, which took place in mid-March this year. In addition, the allocation to our 4 training centers around Fiji will enable programs, upgrades, and increased training activities, Mr. Speaker said. Likewise, the allocation for sports infrastructure upgrades are also important to provide fit-for-purpose facilities to train the future sports stars of Fiji. And I welcome the continued government's commitment to sports training and tours through the relevant budgetary allocation. Mr. Speaker said, this budget provides a solid pathway to our government's economic plan to secure Fiji's recovery. It creates jobs, guarantees essential services, and builds a more resilient, secure, and united Fiji. For today and for our future generation, Mr. Speaker said. Unlike what the opposition wishes and comes out with their tired old game to divide our people even during these difficult times. Mr. Speaker said the opposition is full of hot air when it comes to government. Yet, they don't have any new or practical ideas. Their so-called contribution fall far short of the bold and strong economic recovery budget that the Honourable Minister for Economy has presented. Mr. Speaker said, it comes as no surprise to see that the leader of Fiji Labour Party aiding to the opposition hot air by his old tricks in asking farmers to boycott the cane harvesting. And now we see Mr. Chaudhry being joined by the NFP leader and Sodalpa leader in opposing Bill 17. Mr. Speaker said, these leaders individually and collectively have lit the fire inciting people along their old tricks of appealing to race and are now pretending to be the fire brigade in asking people to come. Mr. Speaker said, these leaders do not care about the potential harm to all Fijians, whether it be COVID or sugarcane boycotts or inciting tensions by misrepresenting Bill 17. They do not care if ordinary Fijians are harmed or their livelihoods are taken from them. All they care about is their selfish political ends. I call on Fijians to think about their selfish goals and act in the interest of a united and secure Fiji. Mr. Speaker said, in a similar vein, I urge all farmers to remember that this government has done more to the sugar sector than any other government. And Fiji First government will continue to assist our cane farmers. The guaranteed minimum price of $85 per ton of cane is of great assistance to our farmers. Mr. Chaudhry is now making noises because he can stand in the next election. The people of Fiji, including cane farmers, know these men inside and out, and they will no longer fall for his cheap tricks. Like the rest of the opposition, Mr. Speaker said, the Labour leader wishes only harm and doom and gloom for the country in order to convince people to vote for them as an alternative. Mr. Speaker said, this budget, like those of the past Fiji First budget, has gone through a thorough consultation process, even when the face-to-face meeting was not possible. The Honourable Minister for Economy and his team switched into virtual mode to ensure that our people are heard. This is only possible when we have a government that truly believes in the voice of its people. And their voices are represented in this budget that will ensure that the lives and livelihoods of all Fijians are given a sustainable pathways towards recovery and beyond under the new normal. Mr. Speaker said, this 3.69 billion people-centered budget by the Fiji First government will ensure that people and their rights, needs, and aspirations are at the heart of the economy and social policies now and into the future. Mr. Speaker said, I thank this August House for the privilege to speak on and fully support the motion to approve the 2021-2022 national budget. Thank you.
I thank the Honourable Minister for his contribution to the debate.